Hi guys and welcome. One sec. Hi guys and welcome back. I'm Adam Thomas. Thank you all so much for being here. Today it's Time-Lapse Tuesday. We're going to be looking at the side of a calf. I'm doing a big A4 sort of size Poseidon. So Greek god, water, staffy thing with the spiky thingy with the bob. Lots of lightning, lots of clouds. We ended up doing a lot more than what I thought I'd achieve in the day, which is really good. Obviously for the client, for me, because we managed to really fill out that panel from sort of ankle up to the side of the knee. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure to click the subscription button to see more videos just like this. Smash the like button if you enjoyed this. And with all that being said, let's jump straight into it. So, Poseidon time-lapse. Boom. So, I've already put the stencil on. I have got one in the pipeline which shows me prepping the skin, getting everything ready, putting all the stencil on, etc. So we will look at that at some point. With this, I'm using Empire inks. If you've never tried them, they are really good. I'm starting to do something a little bit different with my inks, which is making things smoother. I will share that with you guys, but I am sort of still in the trial and error sort of phase with this. At the moment, everything's working out really nice. It's giving me really, really smooth finishes, and it's making my life a lot easier. And the healed work's looking really tasty too. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll get a video for that soon. So as per usual, I'm starting from the bottom, working to the top. The logic behind that is obviously if you start at the top, you start wiping, you're going to rub off the stencil and you're going to be a world of pain. So bottom to top, being right-handed, I generally start bottom right, but that can change depending on what sort of features are in the tattoo. So we're just starting with the water, getting some of the heaviest blacks in first. So if you watch my previous time lapses, you'll know that I tried to get a heavy black point in pretty early on. So I've got something that is solid black. That way I can work backwards from that tone-wise and make sure that nothing else is going to be darker than that. So the logic being behind that is that once you've got something that is solid black in there, nothing else should be that dark. That way you're going to keep the value and keep the piece looking as close to the reference as possible. Cut-wise, I'm still using the Da Vinci V2s at this point. At the moment I've got a 27, I'm also using a 15. Both of those are curved mags. I've got a Type 3 liner and potentially a round shader, but I'm not sure. I will tell you if I notice myself using a round shader, but I think I might only get that out towards the end to get the lightning in because I wanted a big solid line. So yeah, most of it's just gonna be those 3 Da Vinci V2s. So we're just working the water, getting all the really heavy low lights in there. With water, for me, I like to ditch my stencil as quickly as possible. So get the structure in and make sure that stencil's gone. So with all your stencil lines in there, it's gonna make the water look very like angular and like you've almost lined it. Obviously water, you want the nice fluidity to it. So yeah, just making sure I can get enough structuring that I know what I'm doing, ditch the stencil, as in try and wipe it all off, and that way it's gonna start making more sense and looking more like water. The last thing you wanna do is overwork it, put too much in, and it's just gonna look too rigid, and it's gonna lose that nice movement. With the tips of the waves, obviously that's made up by the sky sort of element, so you're almost leaving a negative space for that crest of the wave to really get that punchy white sort of fluffy water look, for want of a better description. So we jumped up a little bit now. We're now using a 7 curve mag to carve out the hand. So again, starting with the low lights, so anything that's black, and then moving into sort of dark washes. I've started trying to stay closer to my blacks and dark washes and really just using medium and light just to smooth out. I'm finding the healed work's coming back a lot solid, a lot more punchy, and it's really retaining that contrast. So yeah, a little quick dip there. So yeah, so we're just carving out the shadows. So obviously with the hand being over the top, most of the shadows are underneath. We want to just get those in first, and that way we can then start working on the tops of the fingers. Obviously, the nature of this sort of image is that you've got all the highlights on the top of the fingers, so a lot of that work's going to be done with the sky and background, which you can just see that I've just carved that in a little bit there. What you don't want to do is start putting big heavy outlines around everything. which is going to lose that sort of that realism look. So really use your background. Make sure your background is carving out those highlights, and then at the end you can go back, pop some white in, and it's going to look tasty. So there's these wrappy things that go around the arm. They're just like a little bit more like crisp. So I think I use my liner just to carve those in. I'm still using the 7 at the moment, I think. Again, for me, size of mag is solely dictated on what you're doing. So a way that I've always like sort of made an example of it is if you're going to paint a wall and you need to cover a big area, you're going to use a big roller, big brush. So that's where the 27 is. You're going to start cutting in and getting little tight bits done. You're going to start using a smaller brush, same as this. So drop down to 15, 7s. For me, I generally just use the 3 sizes, 7, 15, 27. I use the ruler double end. So yeah, I just double my sizes. Same with my liners. I use type 3, 7, 9-ish, and then that jumps up to like an 11 round shader maybe. Like I say, do realism stuff. Mainly my liners just used for details and highlights, so nothing too wild. So now we've got the hand and the arm pretty much in. Again, you can see that I've got some stencil on the top of the shoulder. That's just throwing me off a little bit, so I'm just gonna get enough structure in there, leave it, move on to the next bit, and then hopefully by the time I've rubbed that off through the process, through working, it'll make more sense and I can just finish off that curve. So we're just working on the chest and the stomach, really carving out those abs, you know. These Greek gods, they love to be ripped. So we are just carving those out, really getting those shadows in there, the blacks, the low lights. That's going to do most of the work for us. A lot of this piece is left as open skin. Open skin is just as important as getting the tattoo ink in there, just to let the piece breathe and to give you that nice high punchy contrast once it heals. You put too much work in there, over time it's just going to all knit together. You're just going to have one big solid piece. So it's really important to get those heavy low lights in, just as important as getting those really nice punchy whites in as well. So I'm talking about something, so potentially we're going to have a bit of a break. So I will just try and skip forward a little bit. We did have a few breaks. Lower legs can be a little bit sort of tasty. A little bit twitchy, so yeah, just trying to give my client like sort of the best time possible, really. Make sure you can sit for the duration of the piece. I don't want to burn him out too early, really batter the legs. So we've still got quite a long way to go. There's a lot of background involved in this to get all the hair nice and white. So I didn't want him to start getting close to tapping out. So carving the faces on stuff like this are always a little bit tricky just because they are so small. So at the moment I'm using my 3 round liner just to carve stuff out, get a bit of structure in there, just so as and when the stencil starts rubbing off, I'm not in a world of pain. I've still got eyes, nose, mouth and enough reference points in there to work from. The beard and the hair, we wanted to retain that to be as white as possible. So you got that nice sort of flowy, sort of Greek god looking style hair. So you can see now I've switched to a 15 mag just to carve out a bit of the background. Sort of medium to dark wash, just feather that out, keep everything really feathered, so you don't want to be really packing that in there. Make sure that everything's got that nice fluffy edge, and just carving around the hair. So again, same as the water, the stencil lines are going to be throwing me off a little bit, making it look like I've lined everything. That's fine, I'm just sort of carved that in, so I've got the outside edge. We all sort of know how to put hair in, or should do at this point, so just carve the outside. Keep all that as a negative space, and then as you can see, I'm going to start carving out the face a little bit more, get my low lights, work through to my mediums, and just start getting that structure of the face in. The main thing to focus on with the faces is just making sure you've got the direction of light all going in the same direction or in a direction that makes sense. So being able to carve the nose out and getting the shadows underneath the eyes and the sockets. Obviously we've got a lot of light coming from above, the nature of how this is how this image is created. So underneath the brow, you're going to get all that cast over the eyes, but obviously we still want those nice sort of glowing eyes, which we will pop in with some white. So now that we've got that face done, we're just going to move down to the other arm, get that in. So the only downside to pieces that are slightly bigger is obviously the curve around the leg. So at the moment I'm trying to get as much done at this sort of position. I am gonna have to twist him around just to get around to the back. Like I am sort of putting a lot of stress on his knee, trying to twist him around so I can get to the back of the calf. The back of the calf's not the nicest place in the world either, so yeah, once we can get him into a much more comfortable position, that's going to make the tattoo feel that little bit nicer as well. So like I say, I'm just trying to get as much done as I can on this side, and then we'll sort of flip him around onto his front, which will give me access to the back of the calf, and then we can get the rest of it done. Most of the bulk of it around there's another sort of like break in the waves, which gives us this really nice sort of S shape at the bottom with the water, and then background really. So yeah, big mag, smash it out, try and get it done as quick as we can. So we're just getting the arm in, just putting some background in there just so I can get that sort of that water splash coming off the bottom of the arm, as if he sort of pulled himself out of the water and it's got like splashing coming off him. Again, making sure that we've got a nice contrast with the background and the figure itself, but not taking too much away from the figure. So it's fairly dark on the left-hand side looking at it, and just what I've done there underneath his left arm, but the arm on the right side is just like a real light wash just to put over. So very briefly there, you saw me put 2 paper towels on, so I'm about to wrap that up, or I just did wrap that up, but because I've still got a stencil left there, if you wrap that with some cling film for a bit of a break, what's going to happen is the leg's just going to sweat and it's going to destroy your stencil. So you put a couple of sheets of cling film on there, paper towel on there first, wrap it up with the cling film. That should give you a fighting chance not to lose your stencil, and that way your client can have a break, have some lunch, come back, and your stencil should, hopefully, in theory, still be there. I'm just going to knock this forward a bit until we come back. So here we can see me taking that off, and again, 2 pieces of paper towel. And this is my setup. So you can see that I've actually got 4 carts there. So potentially, yeah, so I've got a 3-round liner, 7 curve mag, 15 mag, and the one that's missing is in my machine, which is the 27 mag. You can see my inks in the top. So I've got black, dark, medium, light. Later on, I'll get a pot of white. And then inkies, so green inkies, if you've not used it, incredible. Check the description for a link to one of the suppliers that I get my inkies from, and the link to inkies themselves. If you've not tried it, honestly, it'll change your life tattooing. And there's obviously my stencil. So you can kind of see how simple my stencil is from there. I don't tend to put too much into my stencils now. Sometimes you can overdo a stencil and it can really sort of throw you off, and trying to translate that stencil before you even started is just going to take you an extra long amount of time. So this is what I was saying earlier. We flipped them over the front. And you can see how much more access I've got to the back of the leg compared to what we had before. Obviously, seeing this bit now, you can see how hard it would be to get to the other side. So it is just one of those areas where you've just got to keep spinning, keep moving your client around just to get him in the best place possible, or her, and to be in the best place possible for yourself, to be able to tattoo it. You know, well, the last thing you want to be doing is trying to twist and contort yourself. You're just not going to be able to create nice pieces of art. So we are using a 15 curved mag. This is just to get that roby sort of bit of clothing down at the bottom done. And the other side of his legs, so he had like these fish sort of scales on his legs. So now we're just carving out a bit of the sea. Again, this is so that I'm putting, in essence, background in, so we get that nice crest of the wave to stay nice and white. So you can see I'm just working my way around the edge. You can see how that skin's being left, and that's giving us that look of that sort of that break of the wave where we're nice and white, and you're getting that sort of nice sort of splash effect. So again, for my client, this bit's gonna be a bit brutal, so we are just packing out the sky now. So I tend to do my clouds in very similar ways. It works for me, just a real simple fade up and then a nice sort of white sort of crispy edge. It's not the most realistic look to a cloud, but it gives me an ability to get that nice background in. It's easy for me to work, and it gives a real nice effect without taking too much away from the subject matter. So it's gonna look like clouds. It's going to give us that effect, and obviously we're not looking for minute details in the clouds. If anything, we do want those to be set back, almost out of focus, just to bring whatever the subject matter is, Poseidon in this case, into the foreground and make that the most important part there. So now we're just doing the Trident, just carving out the black bits. So there is sort of a bit of a 3D vibe going on here. So obviously you can see the sides. So I've just very quickly carved those out in the sense of just used the light wash and just flicked across those lines just so I can see roughly where they are. But as I'm going back into the clouds now, which is with 27 mag, blasting that through, we're just gonna really like bring those clouds up, give us those nice layering of the clouds. And now as we start going back to the Trident, we're just gonna hit those lines, which is gonna give us that nice little white gap, which is that inside edge. And without even putting white, you can see how strong that 3D vibe is. And once we hit that with some white in a minute, it's gonna really pop and look proper banging. All of this background is sort of medium's dark wash, and then just fade it out with light wash just to smooth it out. So this will be sort of medium wash here, and now into light wash just to really give us that soft look. Because none of this is solid black, I'll be able to get white straight over the top of it. So once I get my big liner out towards the end to get some lightning bolts through there, Bosch will go straight through without even trying. So the white that I use is from Radiant. Again, that's in their pre-mix set. If you check out Radiant inks, you'll be able to find these. Their white is super solid, and yeah, it flies in, stays really bright, healed. Yeah, you can see everything that you've put in. Really good, strong, solid pigment. So again, we're back, spun round just to get this other bit in now. This last little bit of clouding. At this point, I was being, I was very aware of the sensation that I was causing to the leg. So yeah, but we are onto the home stretch at this point. Just getting these last few little bits in. This is just with light wash now, just to smooth everything out. So give that a good wipe. Blast on a bit of Bactine at this point, so this is why I'm wrapping it back up. So spray a bit of Bactine, wrap it up, give it 5-10 minutes just while I sort the white out. As you can see, I've just dropped it into my cup there. That's going to give your client just that little bit of a fighting chance at the end. Obviously, everything's going to be really sore at this point, and then you're going to go back over the top with a load of white. So yeah, they're not going to thank you for that. So yeah, just using these hex carts, we are now carving obviously the white in, so you can see how I'm really hitting those highlights, making sure that everything's really punched in, and we're really getting the best out of the white. So anywhere where the light is hitting the surface, really sort of burning out that look, we're just hitting all of those edges. So it's gonna make a big difference in the hair, obviously, because we can carve out a few extra strands into the background that we didn't manage to carve out with the shading. Just a bit more Bactine on there, just so I can really get into the face. So you can see how straight away it's made the eyes and the bridge of the nose just pop, just bring them out of that shading. We're just hitting the bit of seaweed stuff that's around there, and then we're just going to hit some of the highlights just running through the hair, just give us some of those real nice sort of flicks, and give us that movement, make it really look like you're spinning around. So those gaps that we left in the Trident, you can see how much of a difference the white has just put in there. It's just really made it stand out, pop, and it's just almost made it more HD in a very sort of cheesy way. It's just gonna just take your tattoo just to that next level. White is definitely a really important part, especially in black and grey, and definitely so in colour. So this is just really pounding in the white. I'm sure this felt like I was tattooing his soul at this point, but you can see how strong that white line sits over the top of that background. That lightning bolt's going to be banging. We'll probably have to re-hit it just once more next time. Next time he's in to do the front side, just to really make sure that's popping. We are going to put a big bolt down the back as well, but it was just too sore to go around there at that point. So this is a really interesting effect that you can achieve. So this is back with the 27 mag in the white, and we're just dropping some rain over the top. So using the mag, obviously you've got a lot of needles that are hitting the skin, so you can just put these little flecks in over the top, and you're just going to give you this really nice sort of rain effect over the top of the whole tattoo. Obviously, as you're tattooing, you're not going to be able to leave those little tiny gaps. So yeah, for me, this is just a great way to really create that effect. So just dropping a bit more of the rain over the back, just hitting the crest of that wave just to make that really have that nice highlight edge that we want. I think I was at this point deciding that I was probably going to do a lightning bolt, but I think that is pretty much where we called it a day. So that was the time lapse from start to finish. So the final tattoo ended up looking like, no, wrong folder. Boom, like this. So this is obviously now photographed and not on the GoPro, so we've got a little bit more clarity, a little bit more contrast in there. You can see how those rain, little flecks with the rain really help to create that sort of that moody, stormy look, especially with the lightning bolt in the top. It's gonna be really nice once it's all healed and all the red sort of settles down and all the clouds smooth out into the skin. It's gonna give us a real nice sort of soft focus effect in the background, and then that real nice, sharp sort of punchy look with all the body there. We've got this really cool dynamic shadow that runs across the chest for that little bit of seaweed running across. So all in all, it went in really well, client sat really well. It's not the nicest of places, it's not the smallest of tattoos. It's gonna be good once we get the other side. I'm gonna start dragging around that dark, moody sky around the leg, and then transforming that sea into some land and bits and bobs when we get another god on the inside of the thigh. Boom, so there you go guys, that was Poseidon from start to finish, big old calf piece. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, hopefully you found something interesting. If you haven't already seen, don't forget that I'm running my Bishop competition to win a Bishop 1, which is the machine that I used in this tattoo. If you haven't already entered, make sure to head over to the video, you can check it out on my channel. Follow the simple instructions, you get entered into that. 10K, we're gonna give away the wand, and we are very, very, very close to hitting that number. Thank you all for watching. Like I say, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to click the subscription button, smash the like button if you enjoyed this video, and if you've got any questions at all for any of my process, you'll drop it in the comments and I will try my best to answer anything and everything. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.